Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions during the presentation, if you could just please put those in the chat box and then we will get to them at the end. We will also be sending out the recording of this webinar along with the slides as well afterwards. I'd like to introduce our speaker today. Cam Vreeland is the Director of Product for Traceable, an Antilia scientific company based in Houston, Texas. He leads a team of product managers responsible for the development, production, and marketing of Traceable's product portfolio. Relatively new to the healthcare space, he previously worked at Honeywell, managing residential and commercial temperature control systems in the HVAC space. I will hand it over to Cam now. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here with everybody. Appreciate the time to spend a little bit of your afternoons talking about Traceable and the products that we have available within the food and beverage cold chain space. So I'm going to be going through today a couple of our key offerings that are most relevant to this space, looking at how the products work, what they do, and then how they are best used within the food and beverage space that we're focused on today. As we go through, keep a log of your questions. My goal is to get through the presentation itself within about 45 minutes, and I will leave about 15 minutes at the end to answer any questions anybody might have on anything we talk about over the course of the day or the course of the hour. So with that, let's jump on in. I wanted to start just a little bit, quick introduction to Traceable for anybody who's not intimately familiar with who we are and what we do. At Traceable, we have a key mission that we focus on really heavily, and that's going to be really the center point of the conversation and the products that serve this mission today. We protect the samples, the products, the shipments that matter the most. And that's how we go about our developments. That's how we think about our products. And so, based on that mission, we spend a lot of time on quality. We're very proud of the products that we build, and we believe they're best in industry to protect all of the things that we know you care about, your customers care about, the end users that get these things care about. All of the stuff that we collect data on, that we alarm on, is extremely important, as all of you all know. And so we live by a motto here: freezers fail on Saturday nights. Statistically, that is actually true based on our data. I'll talk about that a little bit more later on, but it is actually an interesting data-driven fact that freezers fail on Saturdays statistically higher than any other day. And our goal is to eliminate as much of that failure and as much of that loss, whether, like I said, samples, products, whatever they happen to be. And so to attack that mission and then help continue to support all the work that happens around those critical items, Traceable provides a large portfolio of products from temperature management, humidity management, time management, and a whole bunch of other parameters in different footprints, applications, sizes, mechanisms to support that goal, and then also to support the professionals that are working around that goal. So, our products get very specified. Some of the products we're gonna look at today are very highly specified. Some of them are very, very general use. Things like timers or stem thermometers can be used for a variety of applications within the space. Like I said, we're gonna focus primarily on temperature and humidity today, but within the Traceable portfolio, we do support a variety of parameters that can be measured and monitored. And to further our focus on quality and accuracy and reliability, every product that Traceable produces that you buy with the Traceable brand on it does come with the traceable certificate. And every single one of those products comes to our facility here in Houston. It's calibrated in our ISO 17025 2017 compliant lab, which actually sits right behind me in our facility here with our about 100 plus technicians that do this all day, every day. That lab is accredited by A2LA and ILAC MRA. And we issue calibration certificates with 2-year calibration links, traceable to NIST within the United States, Canada, and a variety of other countries that we carry the credentials to calibrate for. So pretty much any primary country that you or any customers would be doing business with, we carry those credentials, and we're constantly adding them as our customers request additional countries where they may want to ship things or they may want to do work. And so, like I said, every traceable product comes with this calibration certificate in the box. If it bears our traceable logo, it has been calibrated and brings these credentials with it. So jumping into the meat of our conversation, looking at the food and agricultural cold chain. So I have a little graphic that I like to use as we've talked about cold chains, and Traceable participates in a variety of industries. Food and agriculture is a very large industry for us. We also spend a lot of time in healthcare and pharmaceuticals, where our products are utilized and deployed into a variety of applications. But the products along the bottom here are the traceable products that we're going to be talking about today. And as we think about the cold chain and how that flow works, we've got 5 very distinct steps that we pay attention to and that we build our products to fit into. So the largest kind of, broadest application on the manufacturing side, or the growing side, depending on the industry that you're looking at, the processing side, that is where we deploy kind of our largest net products, our most robust kind of workhorse products. We're going to look at the Excursion-Trac for those environments. Within the shipment from manufacturing to distribution, depending on the cold chain that you happen to be looking at, this might be 1-step shipment, or it might be 2, could be more. But within the kind of manufacturing to distribution, we've got our TraceableOne product that we're going to look at in depth for those shipments. A lot of times those shipments there are either trucks or boats, not a lot of airplanes in our experience in the middle there. We've got our kind of in the middle distribution, where we deploy a higher level and recommend a higher level of monitoring, because you're getting closer to your end customer and your value conceivably is increasing to keep those things going and getting to that end user. We've got another stage of shipping from distribution to point of use. If you're thinking about, a grocery store, or you're thinking about, for us within pharmaceuticals, your distribution center for somebody like a Walgreens, you've got your shipping again to your individual stores. This could be a grocery store. It could be, like I said, a pharmacy or a doctor's office. And in the middle there, we see a lot of trucks in that transit, where you're distributing on a much lower scale basis. We're going to talk about our TraceableGO product for that. And then our last leg there on the end is the point of use, where these products are getting ready to be distributed to individuals, or they're being purchased off the shelf. And that's where we typically deploy our TraceableLIVE products. And we're going to talk about those a bit at the end. So I kind of pulled these out and talked about already at the large scale. Excursion-Trac, we're going to cover first. That is what we refer to as our workhorse data logger. It is our highest, our most robust data logger within our offering. The TraceableOne device is really our ideal large shipment data logger, easy to toss in every box or put on the side of every box. TraceableGO is very close to our easiest to use data logger. That is our Bluetooth data logger. We're going to talk about that. That can be used in either state of shipment, or it can be used for those kind of on-premise applications. And then TraceableLIVE, which is our connected offering, which can also be deployed pretty much anywhere, but we see that a lot more, like I said, at the point of use. being distributed to that kind of last step of the journey where the product has reached its highest value, right as it goes onto store shelves, or as consumers are about to get to it. So these are the four we're going to delve into a bit deeper today. So let's get started with the Excursion-Trac. So like I said, Excursion-Trac is our workhorse data logger. I laid out a couple of big pieces for it here. It is available in 1 or 2 probe configurations in its temperature. We have a thermal hygrometer version that I'll talk about in a second. But in the iteration you see here on screen, it can support 2 channels. It holds 500,000 memory points and 10 alarm events in its visible pulled memory. It'll hold more than 10 alarm events if you pull the data off of it, but you can access 10 alarm events from the screen of the device without having to pull data. It uses a standard USB flash drive to download the data. There's no software required. There's no additional steps. When you plug the USB drive into the side of the data logger, it goes in the left side. You don't have to take it off. It'll automatically download the CSV file you can see on the right. And then that CSV file can be accessed by any computer with a USB drive and access to that USB drive. So you're not having to install additional programs. There's no programs required to configure the device. The entire device is configured using the buttons in the screen. And then you can generate those reports very easily on any computer. The device does allow a local review of the mins and maxes that the device has experienced since its last clear. And like I said, you can view the last 10 alarm events on the device screen itself with their timestamps. So if you're just doing a quick audit, you see that something's gone off, you can go in and look really quickly and understand what that alarm event was and make a decision as to whether or not you need to download the data to understand more about what's been going on with the samples or products that Excursion-Trac is monitoring. Within our temperature lineup, we have 3 configurations. We do standard temperatures, -50 to 70. So pretty much any refrigerators and freezers within the space. We can manage ultra low freezers. So your -90s, your -80s, up to 105. And then we can also tackle liquid nitrogen down at the -200, technically -198 Celsius for monitoring of liquid nitrogen applications if those come along. And those all share the same footprint, but they have slightly different screens to support the different ranges of the temperatures. And then within the offering, we have 4 probe options. Picture here is our buffered bottle probe. That bottle is glass and it's filled with a glycol mixture that is GRAS, globally recognized as safe by the FDA. We also have a GRAS specific buffered bottle probe that's made of plastic. When you drop those glass bottle probes, they will shatter. So a plastic bottle probe is available as well. We sell the unit with just a bullet probe with no buffer on it. And then we sell stainless steel probes. And the ultra low and liquid nitrogen applications only come with the stainless steel probe. Obviously our plastic would freeze and break if we let it get that low on our bullet probes. So because this is going out, I have no intention of reading through this, but I wanted to make sure everyone had the full lineup. You can see here our 3 screen configurations, obviously the same physical footprint on the device, the same setup procedure, the same download procedure. Top left is our standard temperature product. Middle right is our ultra low temperature product. And bottom left is our liquid nitrogen temperature product. And you can see those 2 stainless steel probes. Those are roughly 5.5 inches long for inserting into samples, products to monitor temperatures, or you can have them coming into the side of the port on some of those higher capability freezers or liquid nitrogen dewars or storage units. You can kind of put it through the port and have it monitor inside the unit. On the right, I've got all the probe configurations and all of our part numbers, both for Antilia and Traceable. I know some folks might know the Traceable part numbers better, so I always include those just in case anybody wants those as well. And then additionally within our lineup, we have 2 ambient monitoring units. Our embedded ambient probe unit measures temperature, humidity, and barometric pressure. Slightly different footprint to support that embedded probe. The screen is a bit bigger. And we can see, instead of kind of a scrolling through of the different channels, you see everything all at once on the screen, which is pretty nice. You have your current reading, your min, and your max since last clear. Data download on this and reporting and all of the other capabilities are extraordinarily similar. So I didn't detail out the differences. There are slight nuances in these units, as you might expect with the changes in parameters. But in general, the feel and day-to-day use is the same on these products. So temperature, humidity, and barometric pressure on the left, on the white one. And then the blue one is a temperature and humidity that supports a probe. So that probe is, that's kind of wrapping around, is on a 6-foot line. And you can deploy it and place it wherever you need to place it. One thing I will note for these two is their ambient operating range is bottomed out at 32 degrees. So if you put it in a freezer, which I have seen many people do, the screen will freeze. The device will continue to function, but those crystals are technically liquid and they will freeze in freezers, any environments below 32 degrees. So if it's a walk-in refrigerator, no problem. You put it on the wall, collect all your data. If it is a walk-in freezer or a regular freezer, the screen will freeze. I get quite a few calls on that one, so I always like to bring it up and remind people that the screen is liquid and will freeze. And again, for this one, the Antillion part numbers and the traceable part numbers at the bottom for your reference. So for each of these, I'm going to cover off on the end here in a couple of key applications. And we already talked through the cold chain image, so I won't belabor that point. But you know, the Excursion-Trac, especially the temperature ones and the ambient ones as well, are really, really good for monitoring examples within refrigerated or frozen environments for the units with probes. The thermo hygrometer versions that sense ambient temperature are just really stellar data loggers in the first place for any kind of ambient environments. We see those deployed a lot in process facilities, in warehouses, in factories, where you need that kind of local storage and understanding and potentially alarming within the space. Additionally, second bullet here, anywhere you need alarming. Yeah, you know, it's going to be a local alarm. The device will kind of light up on the LEDs. It'll make a lot of noise. It'll flash. So anywhere you need to be able to set parameters, obviously temperature on the temperature units or temperature, humidity, and pressure on the other units. Those are all configurable and you can set your alarms and be alerted when conditions become adverse. And then lastly, data logging. So with 500,000 points, technically it's 525,000 points. You can do every second for a year on these devices. Or much more likely, you can do about 10 years of data logging with a 15-minute interval. So we see a lot of 15-minute intervals. Arguably, if everything's good for the period of time, you've got a long-running, you know, persistent data logger that's collecting data forever without you really having to do anything with it. That's really why we talk about it as our workhorse. It can store more data than pretty much any data logger on the market that's not connected. Collect that, store it, present it for you, and make it extraordinarily accessible for any user who might be looking for it. So on to the next stop in our workflow, the TraceableOne. So the TraceableOne is Traceable's disposable, pre-programmed, waterproof PDF direct output data logger. We see these primarily used to track shipments, especially distributed shipments, where you need to ensure that the temperatures within that shipment have been maintained at the proper levels. Primarily, these are positioned, you know, to be checked at the end of every shipment. They support LED indicators that will let you know if the temperatures have gone out of the pre-programmed ranges. On the unit we have here, this is a frozen unit, so it's going to watch -15 to -20 degrees C. And if the temperatures monitored by this device drift out of that range, it's going to start blinking red. And at the end of that trip, you would instruct whoever's your receiver to take that product, plug it in, download the report, send it back to you to determine if you have a legitimate problem, or if it warmed up right at the end, or what the temperature data tells. This one also does not require any software to get the data. It generates a PDF report automatically when it's plugged in. It cannot be reset. It is one-time use. Once you push the start stop button, it is going to go. And when it runs out of its memory, it is out of its memory. The device has a 30-minute delay in it, which is ideal for bringing the device up to temperature before a shipment. So when you press the start button, you put it with the shipment, ideally within the refrigerated or frozen environment, and it'll bring it up to temperature over the 30 minutes. And then once it starts logging, it'll start watching those temperatures. We do support 2 temperature ranges on these devices, frozen or refrigerated. We'll look at kind of those lineups in a second. It can sense and will report anywhere from -30 to +70. And they're fairly accurate at 0.5 degree C. And it'll hold 16,000 memory points. So as we look at our different time frames, what we're doing is we're changing the logging interval to support the 16,000 memory points within the logging cycle. So you're buying a logging cycle, and that logging cycle is directly tied to the logging interval, which you'll see in a second here. In fact, right now. So these products come in 40 packs. We have 4 different configurations for the refrigerated and 3 different configurations for the frozen. Those are either a logging interval of a minute with a 10-day duration, logging interval of 3 minutes with 30 days, 6 minutes for 60 days, and 10 minutes for 90 days. And so, like I said, pre-programmed, you push the button, they go for this period of time, they collect the data, they store the data, plug it in, get your PDF report if you need it, and off you go. Like I had mentioned, this is just a little chart as a reference for anybody who's interested in learning more. I'm not going to walk through this in any kind of specifics, but to start the logger, the entire experience is driven by the little power button you see in the middle. Starting, stopping. You can set markers. So if you wanted to say, we started it, we put it in the unit, and then we actually shipped it, we're going to click the button. Those markers will go onto the report and kind of indicate when things happen. So what we see people do is they'll start it, they'll put it in the unit, they'll allow it to come to temperature, and then they'll click it again just to let it know, hey, this has been packaged up, it's off on its shipment. And then when it arrives at the arrival, because you're spending your time processing and not worried about the data logger, you're going to look at it really quick, and then we recommend you click it and put a mark on it so that you know that it's been received. And then you can go through your process to put your product into, whatever the next refrigerated or frozen holding area happens to be, and not worry about the data logger. And if it goes off after that, you have the mark, and it's okay. When you download the report, you see, hey, this was good within its 2 markers. It kept its temperature, and everybody's happy with it. So specifically looking at the report, if you do have to generate the report, the PDF kicks out directly from the device. I'm going to go through each of these kind of high-level pieces, but I wanted to give everybody a general feel for what these look like. At the top of the page, when you generate the report the first time, you're going to get all the configuration info, how it was set up, how it was configured. You're going to get any marker events when you click that button, and it'll kick those over and say when they happened and kind of what the conditions were when they happened. And then you're going to get an alarm summary info graph, the alarm summary info. That'll give you kind of the feel for how long was it over, how long was it under, and how long was it in the middle. And then if there was an alarm event, it's going to be kind of a big red X on the top right. That'll call out that report and make it really clear this data logger over the course of the time period went out of bounds. It also provides a summary chart, so you can kind of see what happened with it. Was it fluttering around the line? Obviously this one had a problem right at the end where it was kind of floating around 8 degrees. And then right at the end there, it spiked up, and obviously something got very, very warm that should not have gotten very, very warm. So you can get a feel instead of having to just look at a giant data log and try and figure out what went on. Obviously you can see that all here. but within the graph, you can really take a look and understand at a glance what happened with this shipment, and figure out what you're going to do in a very short period of time with the product, or the samples that were within the shipment. So applications, as we talked about, right? Air, truck, boat. For air shipments, we recommend a 10-day timer for truck, either a 30 or 60, depending on the route. And for boats, either 60 or 90s. For most boats, especially nowadays, we recommend 90s whenever you can get them, and put them in, because you never know how long you're going to need to sit on a boat. You know, these are really, for us, the high quantity logger. If you've got a lot of repetitive shipments, especially if you're not sending things to yourself. These are really, really useful, because at the end, you can tell anybody to plug it into a computer and send you the report that it kicks out. It's a very easy process to describe over the phone or via email, to anybody. Or you can, include very simple instructions on how to do it. No software required. What we see a lot of our customers do is when they get these, if they are flashing, they'll plug them in, they'll get the report. If they're not flashing, someone on the end at the receiving side will say it wasn't alarming, and that means the shipment was good. You can still get the report, but it's not kind of a critical report, because you know that it stayed within the bounds of what your expectation was for your shipment. All right, so on to our next one, the TraceableGO. So TraceableGO is another of our transport style data loggers. They are really lightweight, reusable data loggers that feature BLE, or Bluetooth Low Energy Communications, to transmit data, and do all of the settings and configurations on the device. We have 5 configurations of this product. We sell it with probes, so either a bullet probe, a bottle probe, or a stainless steel probe. And then we also have 2 ambient versions, one that supports ambient temperature and one that supports ambient temperature and humidity. All of the functions and capabilities on these are the same, from the user experience, from the reporting, from the data. Obviously, the only difference is the probe types, and within ambient temperature and humidity, you get slightly different ranges of what the product can do. So day-to-day use, what does this look like? I pulled a couple of screenshots here. I've got a couple more as we go through. This device can be used either with our free-to-use TraceableGO app or our pay-to-use TraceableLIVE app. And I will cover the feature differences between the two in a second. Super easy to use. Once it's been paired to and configured, you can either configure a start mode to start immediately when you save the settings. You can use the push button on the device, which is what we typically see people do, or you can do a delayed start from when you finish programming. So if you need to hand these off and you don't want to have anybody do anything, you can be pairing to them, configure them with a 30-minute delay, similar to a TraceableOne, and have it go on its way. You can configure when it stops, either never with the push button, and then obviously you can set the settings on the device screen itself and the alarms and the logging intervals and things like that. And again, this is all done in either app, on an iOS or Android smartphone. Once any trip is complete, you can also download the data in either the TraceableGO or the TraceableLIVE app once the trip is complete. For the TraceableGO app, it's going to automatically download that to your phone. You can see on my example here from today, it'll tell you that it's ready. You can choose to email it to yourself, text it to somebody, save it on the phone, whatever you want to do within the setup. So specifically looking at the 2 apps and identifying the differences. Like I said, TraceableGO is a free-to-use app. That app will allow you to configure your settings and download reports from the data loggers themselves. You can use it on as many as you want, but the limitation of the TraceableGO app is it's not able to save, store, or analyze any of the data that it's getting. The big difference in the TraceableLIVE app is when you download the data from one of the data loggers, you can save it as a trip. And then that data is stored persistently in TraceableLIVE and is available to do analytics on. It will generate graphs. I'll show you what some of those reports look like in a second. but you can revisit them, you can comment on them, you can, when you look at the markers, you can say what the markers were, just a little bit extra capabilities in terms of managing those reports going forward. Of course, you can still do everything in terms of configuration from the TraceableLIVE app as well, from the TraceableGO app in the TraceableLIVE app. So what do these look like? Because the reports do look a little bit different as well, although the core material is the same. So if you're getting a report from the TraceableGO app after a trip, and I did a little sample trip, I did a couple of little sample trips today. You can see exactly the temperature. It was in my office all day. Within the report, you're going to get the trip and report details, the settings for the device, both the trip settings. So what's the delay? How does it handle stopping and starting, along with the temperature settings. So what were your alarm settings? It's going to give you all of the reading data that was collected on the recording or the logging interval. It's going to give you a temperature summary. It's going to give you the alarm events. Within both apps, all of this is configurable. So you can say, I only want alarm events, or I only want to see the settings, or I only want to see the reading data. You can turn these things on and off, whenever you want to turn them on and off. So if you're only interested in particular parts, you can say, I don't need to see all this extra stuff. This isn't interesting to me. I don't care what the settings were. I only care about the reading data or the alarm events or the temperature summary. And you can have it spit it out that way. From the TraceableLIVE side, you can see a little bit of an enhanced report with a little bit of extras. So still the same trip and report details, still the same trip settings. Don't mind the fact that I set the low alarm at 11,000 degrees. I don't know how I did that, but I did. But you'll see all your temperature settings. And then TraceableLIVE has analytics within it. So it's going to go through and do some statistics on your trip. This trip, I think, was all of 20 seconds long because I was just generating another report. So my kinetic mean is a little funky, but it'll kick that out for you. It'll also give you the device data graph as well as the readings table that's on the third page that I didn't pull here. And it'll give you your alarm event history. So again, you can see within this report, and again, these things are customizable as well. You can pull things on, you can push things off. And then when you generate the reports, these reports all save to your TraceableLIVE account, both on your phone and on the web. So these are always accessible later. You can run reports again. You can go repull data. Someone can say, hey, what happened on that trip from Pittsburgh to Philly that day, that other year? And you can go look up that trip and say, oh, yeah, here's the report. Here it is. We'll take care of all the storage for you. We'll take care of the management. So you can always come back to those reports whenever you need to in the future. So key applications. I actually really love the TraceableGO as a hybrid approach. You can either use it in transit, which is the robustness that it's designed for, or I actually really like it, and we see it applied quite a bit as an on-premise data logger. So it's got neodymium magnets on the back. It'll stick to any metal surface. It provides the probe. It has a light alarm. It doesn't buzz, but it'll blink. And if you just need kind of light, robust data logging where you can come back to it every now and again and grab the data, it's a really, really good option for an on-premise setup. For those in-transit shipments, even if you're shipping to someone else, the TraceableGO app is always free. It's extraordinarily easy to use the device. You click the start-stop button twice, the Bluetooth icon will appear, and it's discoverable by the app. You can download the reports, you can share the reports. It's very, very easy to use. And then you can set it back up again. Really what we see is this in transit is used for more of that end stage local shipments where, the trucker is coming back to the same warehouse every day. This isn't your long haul truckers across the country that might take a bunch of different routes. This is distribution center to local local point of purchase facility, your distribution center to your grocery store, your vaccine warehouse to your pharmacy, or in many cases you're going out for a trip for the day, you're taking some stuff with you, or you're transmitting from one facility to another, one research lab to another research lab, one facility to another facility, where this provides a really, really ideal solution to just toss in the bag and maintain the data and the integrity of the temperature profile while you're driving around. So the last item in our flow is TraceableLIVE. So TraceableLIVE is our Wi-Fi or Ethernet connected data logging solution. When we first started TraceableLIVE, it was only temperature. We have expanded this product into being very, very close to a full core environmental monitoring system. So as I go through here, I'll talk on all of the parameters that TraceableLIVE can tackle into. It is primarily used for temperature, but we can do much, much more. We are regularly updating the cloud services and app services associated with TraceableLIVE. Somewhat recently, we released voice notifications, and I'll talk about notifications a little bit as we go through, but TraceableLIVE will call you if something is wrong. We also integrate with Apple Watches from the app side. And as we've gone, we've continued to upgrade the cloud and app platforms to be really best-in-class user interface, user experiences. It is a spectacular platform to use and deploy within a space. So a couple of key benefits. I talked about temperature, obviously refrigerators, freezers, ULTs, liquid nitrogen. We also do ambient temperature and humidity. We do CO2, we do barometric pressure within the portfolio as well. So we can collect all of those data points, and we offer a variety of probe types, to fit whatever application it is that you happen to be using the product for. This is a cloud-based application, of course. Its primary dashboard is web-enabled, so you can access it from any browser. We do have Android and iOS capabilities as well within the App Store, where you can download and access all of the same features from the website on the phones. From a notification perspective, Apple Watch pop-ups, voice calls, push notifications, which is, when your phone just has that little icon at the top of the screen. Those are push notifications from the apps. We can send emails and we can send texts. OneNote, texts, voice calls, and Apple Watch are all paid subscription features. I'll talk about the subscriptions in a minute here. The physical hardware is super easy to set up. You scan a QR code from the app, pair it to Wi-Fi, it configures. It's a very secure platform. Through that process, we use lots of keys and capabilities to ensure that we do have a secure connection and a secure platform. We store the data on our platform. For anybody who's hyper interested in IT, we use Microsoft Azure. So we have a very, very robust cloud platform that our solution sits on. And everything within the devices can be configured, managed, and monitored from the cloud service. You can go in and change your settings on the devices. You can look at what they've been doing and how they're doing it, and clear alerts and all those things from the platform. And then lastly, if you're in a 21 CFR Part 11 environment where you need that compliance, our premium subscription service provides all of the audit capabilities that are required to meet those requirements, along with the 7 years of data storage that's required for that requirement. So looking really, really quickly at the dashboards, and if anyone is interested in looking at this platform, I encourage you to go to TraceableLive.com and use our test drive. You can log in and see a test account and play with the devices and change things, and it'll yell at you when you do things you're not supposed to. But you can get a really, really good feel for the platform from TraceableLive.com on our test drive. You can see kind of in the top left here, the dashboard. We pull all the devices up. You can see really at a glance what's going on. Everything hopefully is good all the time, but if it's not, we have a couple filters that are kind of auto triage filters where you can filter it down and say, okay, what am I going to do with this guy today? What am I going to do with that guy today? Assess the situation, identify the actions to move forward as quickly as possible. The platform supports a variety of locations. You can configure your account very, very specifically to you. It's all very flexible. You can change notifications on those locations. You can change notifications on users. You can create a variety of users, two user types, admins and users who can see different things. And then you can generate all kinds of reports out of the devices using the data, depending on what your need happens to be. If you're in a space that gets audited regularly, you can produce the audit reports. If you just are doing it for quality control, You can produce quality control reports, whatever it is that you're needing out of the system. We can generate reports to fit the need for what you're looking at. So I encourage you guys to go here if you have a chance. It is a very nice test experience, a good test bed. I apologize for the resolution here. This is a little bit of an older picture, but you can really see the heads up view. This is, we took this a little while ago, but you can see, the tiles of the big devices. Along the left-hand side, you've got all your parts and pieces. If you can see 3 down, it says trips. Those are your TraceableGO reports. If you're generating TraceableGO reports, they'll be stored in that trips icon. You can go in and query those and look at those, and just, provide a really easy, intuitive user experience for whoever is administering these devices or using these devices. So I talked about all the different capabilities and ranges that we have. The temperatures are the first couple: standard temperature, -50 to 60, ULTs, liquid nitrogen. We also do high temperature for ovens and autoclaves, 0 to 300 C. Our temperature and humidity units are available either in a dongle or a 3-foot cable, similar to the Excursion-Tracs. Temperature, humidity, and CO2 are available as well in both dongle and 3-foot cable. And then our barometric pressure unit is a dongle that attaches the top of the unit. That one does temperature, humidity, and barometric pressure. So a wide range. We're always adding to these capabilities and looking for new sensing types that we need to tackle into. So we've got a couple of things in the works that we're playing with on new sensors as we continue to expand this offering. But all of these different parameters go into the same app, the same web experience, generate the same reports, set up, and are used pretty much the same way. The primary difference on them is the screens to support the different readings or the different probe types as you go through. So. And then looking specifically at the subscription. So we do have a free subscription available. Our standard and premium subscriptions, our standard subscriptions, standard is $100 a year per device. Premium is $165 a year per device. The primary differences are within standard, we do allow an unlimited number of devices. Our free accounts are limited to 3 devices and a limited number of users, along with limited data storage. That data storage for us at a very high clip, as you guys collected, is pretty expensive. And so to store the amount of data that our devices collect, we have the subscription plans within those. On the standard side, you also get, I apologize, not listed here. You can get the Apple Watch integration, and users can upgrade to add in the SMS text notifications on the standard platform. Premium has everything. There are no adders. SMS text, Apple Watch, voice notifications, which are the robocalls that will call you, our 21 CFR Part 11 compliance, unlimited everything within the platform on the premium subscriptions. And we got the part numbers over here on the left. Ignore that first part, that's our indicators. So those are the part numbers for the subscriptions. We sell these subscriptions, and Midland sells these subscriptions as cards. So within our platform, users can use a credit card if they like, but Midland also sells these as subscription cards that can be purchased in either 1 or 2 year increments and applied to the account. So both available there. And then at the bottom there is a little link. When we send this out, you'll have the link to the test drive so that you can go and give the platform a test drive, give it a run. So last round of key applications before I have one last topic to cover off on. TraceableLIVE is an environmental monitoring system that is ideal for on-premise logging and alerting, and really into the critical product alerting and alarming. This is really a system for anybody who has anything that they're going to get up on a Saturday, or they're going to make a phone call on a Thursday night and try and go fix. We put this very close to the end user because that is when things are most valuable. It can be deployed in any application. It is an extraordinary easy data logger to use once it's hooked up. The data automatically transmits, it communicates over the cloud. These are battery-powered devices. They're extraordinarily easy to install and deploy. And of course, anywhere you need that 21 CFR Part 11 compliance, these are ideal. I've got a little note in italics here because we do have a couple of customers who use these as their transport loggers for day trips. Once you pair them to the Wi-Fi at the facility, you pack them up with whatever you're taking for the day, you take them with you. They will log and alarm locally. And then when they get back to the facility, they will automatically pair and transmit their data to the TraceableLIVE cloud. So as long as within a couple of days that unit is going back, you'll be able to create your data logs and log that data on those trips that go out as well. So we see them used a bit for that too. It's a little bit of a nuanced application, but for the food and ag space, I like it a lot as a way to really, really easily log data through trips. All right, so last thing before we go to Q&A, I'll just take 2 seconds here. We have a couple of new products coming from the Traceable side. These would be around the food and the cold chain space, but Traceable has recently released 4 new critical tools. So our memory thermometer, our hygrometer, our 3 and 4 channel timers. These are just available from Midland and provide a really high-end user experience. We put a bunch of advanced user features in here and reduce the maintenance quite a bit to use and deploy these products. So again, these will be in here. I'm not going to walk through these in depth because I want to be able to answer any questions anybody has. You know, we're just trying to create a really nice experience within these fairly simple but essential lab tools that really get deployed all over the place within all of the research and manufacturing spaces that I know everybody participates in. So anyway, I'm 2 minutes over and I've talked a lot. So I'm hoping you all have some questions that I can answer. So otherwise, thank you all for your time. And yeah, if you guys have any questions that I can answer, go back to anything or provide any extra details, please let me know.
Thank you, Cam. That was a great presentation. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself now, or you can put it in the chat box. Otherwise, we will be sending out the slides, and we can include Cam's contact information in there. If you want to shoot him an email, you could ask your question there as well.
When there are never questions, I just assume that it was a perfect presentation. So
that's what I would think, yes. Okay, well, we'll let everybody go a little early. Thank you all for your time, and thank you again, Cam.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.